My name is Luendo and I'm 18 years old and I'm going to share my story. To tell my story, I have to start at the beginning in my early childhood. Both of my parents are Adventists, so obviously when I was younger, I went to church just because my parents were going. But as I grew a little bit older, I didn't really find an interest in being at church to actually listen to the sermon or engage with anything spiritual. It was more of a going to play with a few friends that I had at church and then go home, and that was it. When I was younger, you can see me and my brothers there. I was quote unquote forced to sing by my parents, mainly my mum, because my mum sang when she was younger. At first, I didn't mind it because I was sort of too young to really think about too many things. But once I grew up a little bit and learned about things like anxiety and the perception of other people, I grew to hate it. And both of my brothers, they both shared the same sentiment, and we all grew to hate it, to our parents that we wanted to stop singing entirely. And in the church that we went to originally before we moved to South Shields, there was lots of programs, especially quite a lot of youth programs, but there wasn't really any connection between the youth. So the programs never really meant anything to me, and I'm sure a lot of the other youth shared the same feeling. So how Care Group started? We started Care Group because of a random guy who showed up one day at our church one Sabbath called Ice. And he was a very bubbly and friendly personality. And over a couple of weeks, he shared the idea of Care Group with us. We grew a little bit curious and wanted to find out more about it. He gave us a direction and showed us the training and watching the Care Group videos. I know a few of you know about the videos. And we went through the training and eventually started our Care Group. And that photo you see, that was our first Care Group. I believe it was the 14th of October, 2022. So about 3 years ago. And it was a very awkward environment because in 2022, this was after my family moved to South Shields Church, but quite a few of the youth from Newcastle also moved to South Shields Church. So these were the same people that I had known my whole life by just growing up in the same church, but we didn't have a relationship or a friendship that we could really speak beyond happy Sabbath and hello, how was your week? I remember that Care Group very well. It was a very awkward environment to be in. There was a lot of awkward silences, and we didn't really have much to talk about because we hadn't built that relationship. But we stuck to it over time, even though it was quite awkward and it didn't feel good sometimes. We trusted in the vision that we would eventually break the ice and build friendships. And that is exactly what happened. On top of that, ICE also was guiding us along the whole way. And we built a core team of me, my older brother, and two other members of the youth who aren't here. We would meet up weekly every Wednesday to have meetings, and we would share a Bible verse. And we'd also share ideas of how we could better the Care Group that we were trying to grow. So how God changed my life through Care Group. First of all, Care Group gave me a group of friends who can hold me accountable in my spiritual growth and in my Bible reading. Because before, even though I went to church with my parents, I didn't feel an obligation to consistently read my Bible or pray or anything like that, beyond things like praying for food or praying before bed and stuff like that. Another thing is Care Group helped me step outside of my comfort zone, because another part of Care Group is rotating whoever's leading the Bible discussion. I haven't been very good with public speaking and sharing my personal experiences when I was younger. So that helped me to step outside of my comfort zone and basically become more comfortable with speaking to other people and speaking in front of a crowd, even though it was a small crowd. Now I'm able to speak publicly. A couple of years ago, I wouldn't have imagined that I would be able to stand up here and speak to all of you about my experiences. And it just goes to show how much Care Group has really transformed me as a person through God. So how Care Group has affected others. The guy holding the yellow football, he's called Rance. We first met him at our badminton club, the club that we started in our community. And He shared about how his mum convinced him to go, and he was quite reluctant to come to the badminton group at first, but he decided to give it a go. And we got to know him over the weeks and then eventually invited him to care group. He has a bit of a background with Christianity, and as he was coming to our care group, he started to learn more about God in a different way and also experiencing the company of all of us, and we all became good friends of him. He was also shy at first, but he continued to show an interest and he really enjoyed our company. It started off with us helping him find his way to care group, like giving him lifts and stuff like that. But now, even if he's not able to get a lift, he finds his own way to care group, even if it takes him some time to get there. Recently, a couple of months ago, we moved into our new church building. The day that we moved in, that was his first day of coming to church, and he's been coming to church very consistently ever since the church opened. So you can see how care group has transformed another person's life. In that photo, actually, that was right after we had a Bible study that we were doing weekly at Isis house, and he was experiencing and learning a lot of stories in the Bible that he shared that he hadn't heard before, and that helped with him getting closer to God. So to summarize, I think that programs are good, and this isn't to bash programs, but we should also put a primary focus on building interpersonal relationships with each other, because you can hold all the programs in the world, but if there's no connection between each other, then the programs are really meaningless. And a message to parents and the older generation is to support the youth in developing friendships with each other and developing connections, because care group isn't something that you can do alone. You need the support from people around you, and especially parents. And that can come in the form of helping your child find their way there, or if there's a care group outing and doing bowling or something like that, then help them pay for the bowling. Just things like that can really go a long way in supporting your child grow in care group. I would like to share a verse. Ecclesiastes 4 verse 9 to 10. It says, 2 people are better off than one,
for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble.
And the second verse is 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 11. Can we all read it, please? Therefore, exhort one another and edify one another just as you are doing. Thank you, that's my testimony.